session, and then, you know, maybe the chat will show up for me. But it looks like Twitch is having a few problems. So yes, we're playing Wario Land because, like I said, I might be doing an episode about it, I might not, but I've been really enjoying these games. And I was a huge fan of Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins, so it's weird that I never picked up on Wario Land until much later, and I only played Mario Land 3 when I was 18, that's when it came out, it was 2000. And I think that is one of Nintendo's finest platformers. You might think I'm crazy, but I think it's right up there with Yoshi's Island. It's actually a weird mix of Yoshi's Island and Super Metroid, which is not surprising because a lot of Metroid talent was behind the studio that made Wario Land. Let me turn this music down for myself, because it's a little too loud in my ears. Okay, cool. Oh, good, okay, now I can see the chat. Yay! We're back. Cool. I feel good about this now. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I'm gonna blame Twitch because it is their fault. So yeah, we're playing Wario Land. I don't know, let me know if you guys have any familiarity with this series. The first game I'm playing now, it's not super, at least explicitly subversive and revolutionary, but it is in its own way. Wario's a very big anti-Mario, and not just in design, just the way the game plays is very anti-Mario. So, I mean, I've been doing research just to discover, you know, or at least think about how this game is different than Mario. And one of the biggest differences is Wario is pretty much indestructible. He's not immortal yet. That'll happen in later games, but just touching an enemy won't kill you. In fact, you'll knock it over because you're such a badass. I mean, they play with the idea because they give enemies defenses on certain sides like these guys. This is also, I think, maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong, is this like the first butt stomp in a Nintendo game? I can't think of any other butt stomp that came before, and every Mario game would eventually have its own butt stomp. Wario Land actually pioneered a lot of things that are now just part of the Mario series, especially the 3D games, and maybe we'll see a few of those when we play. So yeah, it's weird that Wario Land has not been really around since 2000, I guess. I mean, there have been spin-offs, but they've mostly been outsourced and they've mostly been not good, at least compared to these games, because these games are very solid. Like I said, it's weird to, I mean, some games you have nostalgia for, and you go back and play them and you remember those fond memories you had, and that adds to the experience. This game I never played, actually, outside of, you know, dabbling with emulators. I remember actually being in a Toys R Us, and it being down between this game and Kirby's Pinball Land, and ultimately Kirby's Pinball Land 1. Because I knew Kirby was good. I didn't know what this Wario guy was all about. I mean, I should have known better, but what are you gonna do? So I'm getting a question. Whatever is Forever wants to know, Bob, can you tell me if this game is part of the Mario Land series or the Wario Land series? It's actually both. It spans both series. This is actually, the name of this game is Super Mario Land 3 Wario Land. And both this game and Mario Land 2 share two directors. The initial director would eventually move on to more of a supervising role, and one guy basically did 2 and 3 as director solely. And I have his name written down, and I don't remember it, I'm sorry, but he is awesome, and he has been credited with the game since 2004's Zero Mission, Metroid Zero Mission. Oh, and I'm bad already. So yeah, Small Wario in this game is probably the worst version of Wario to be. I mean, obviously, but he feels even less empowered than Small Mario, because you can't even charge, and that's Wario's main line of defense is charging. I'm sorry, offense. Man, I'm all over the place today. I apologize for that. So yeah, this game is available in the Nintendo eShop for the 3DS, and that's how I played through the whole damn thing recently. Actually, for E3, if you saw me playing a DS, or 3DS rather, I was probably playing a Wario Land game, because, I don't know, it's a good refresher from what typically is in fashion at E3. Just classic, wacky, goofy platforming is a nice antidote to things getting shot in the face. So I'm getting some questions here, and Cassie89 wants to know, was a Virtual Boy game its own game or a port of this? It's actually, Virtual Boy game came out a year after this. This game came out in '94. And actually, Wario the character is 20 years old now because he debuted in 1993's... Wait, was it 93 or 92 6 Golden Coins? I want to say 92, so maybe he's over 20 now. Huh. So sorry about that. No, the Virtual Boy game is its own game, although it is basically just another version of this with new levels. I believe there's one new hat. And in case you didn't know, all of Wario's powers are based on whatever hat he's wearing, which is something that would eventually happen in Mario 64. So, that's one thing. One thing that every Mario game stole from Wario. And this is basically how the game teaches you that in order to finish a level, you need money. Fortunately, money's in pretty good supply around these levels, and, you know, even more fortunately, that guy already opened the damn thing for me, so... Yeah, money, another thing that's different than Mario games is that money is actually worth something, and that you need it to do things in the game. You need it to, you know, mark checkpoints and finish levels, and eventually the money you get is tallied up at the end of the game, and that affects what ending you get. But there's some mini-games. This is not the best mini-game, because it's basically like, you know, pick a hand or whatever. If you pick right, you get your coins doubled. You pick wrong, they get halved. You have 3 chances, so if you're super lucky, you can you can, you know, quadruple, quintuple your coins. Math, help me out here. So I did okay that time. There's really no, like, I'm pretty bad at this, and I know it's just luck, but I always seem to pick wrong, so I hardly ever do it. Yeah, this is Deal or No Deal, basically, which is why that show seemed incredibly boring. So yeah, the Virtual Boy game is actually, strangely enough, called Virtual Boy Wario Land. And I watched some videos of it this weekend, and it looks to play very much like this. It doesn't have the focus on transformations that the later games would have. But those, I mean, Wario Land 2 wasn't until 1998, so that would be like not until 3 years later. So I'm not surprised that the game is so similar to this one. So Giraffe and Soup wants to know, are there bosses in this game? Yes, the bosses in this game are super weird and gigantic. It seems strange, but I like the graphics in this game more than I like the other Wario Land games. It's strangely off-model. Wario's sprite is, like, distorted and freakish, like he's a Garbage Pail Kid or something like that. And everything is just a little, like, it's a weird twisted riff on what you'd see in a Mario game. So, like, the Goombas are not just these weird, helpless mushroom heads. They've got spears and they're angry. The blocks, they're all frowning at you, or they're happy with you until you hit them from underneath, and they start frowning at you. Everything in this game just feels like a weird, strange riff on Mario. And I think it's more focused on being a Mario parody than it is on being something original, as Wario Land 2 or 3 would do. It's more focused on subverting what we expect from a Mario game, which is really cool. That's why I like these games so much. And they're also solid platformers in their own right. Yeah, Wario Land 2 and 3, they kind of hid this in the localization, but one of Wario's powers is basically just being drunk. I don't know, I forget what they call it in Wario Land 2 and 3, but he's clearly, like, staggering around, like, belching and drunk off his ass. Maybe it's like Magic, or like Silly Wario, or Magic Potion Wario. Yeah, Wario has a mohawk, damn, that's hard to say, in this game. I like his character design in this game more than, like, the other ones. He feels too symmetrical and too clean-cut, too, like, cut from Nintendo's cloth, basically. In this one, he's a little distorted, a little weird. I like him more. And I apologize for playing poorly. I'm going to try to play a little bit of every Wario game tonight. I'm probably only going to stick around for an hour, unfortunately. I do have a few things I need to do, but I do want to live stream more often. I just was busy with pre-E3, E3, and then post-E3, so that explains why I haven't been doing this as much, because E3 can just destroy your month if you write about video games. Oh yeah, Drunk Wario was called Crazy Wario in the West, because he's so crazy. He's crazy enough to crawl into a bottle, folks. Yes, so another thing Wario Land does that later Mario Land games would do, or sorry, later Mario games would do rather, is that power-ups, they're not always empowering. In fact, they have their advantages and disadvantages, and that's something you see a lot in Mario Galaxy. In fact, Mario Galaxy has like the Spring Mario, and that's exactly just ripped straight from Wario Land 2 and 3. Being in Spring form lets you get to certain places you can't, you know, normally, but it's also like, it totally limits the amount of control you have over the character, so... that's all from Mario Land. A ton of ideas that you see in later Mario games came from Wario Land. Unfortunately, they have not yet adopted Wario Land's lack of respect for lives, which would eventually happen in 2 and 3. That'd be great. I'd love to see a Mario game without lives, because I don't know why they're still hanging around. They just feel like this weird remnant that doesn't need to be there anymore. Robert wants to know which game had a GBC remake. That would be Wario Land 2, and the GBC remake came out just a year after the original game came out. So, and that's actually the version that's on the eShop. I did want to point out something. So, I was saying some power-ups had advantages and disadvantages. This is the dragon hat, or whatever they want to call it. You can breathe fire. You can breathe fire underwater, but you can't butt stomp, and you can't dash. So that's one example of how a power-up can also limit your abilities. And a lot of this game is based around like figuring out what area would best exploit the use of a power-up, and how to get the hidden treasure by using that power-up. And maybe the area around you isn't really fit for that using that power-up, but you need it to get to where the power-up is, or rather the treasure. Stop me if I stop making sense. But I love Wario Land. So, who is more fun to hang out with at a party, Dizzy, Yoshi, or Crazy Wario? To be honest, I'd rather hang out with Dizzy Yoshi. So, Trick the TM wants to know, is there any difference between the GB and GBC version of Wario Land 2? Not that I know of. Outside of, obviously, the, increased color palette, I don't think they're that different. I don't know if there's any extra content. I don't think there is, though. So as you can see, this is definitely coming in handy in this area, because I can't always charge. The dragon hat is very useful when you're when you need to swim, and swimming in quicksand counts. So, and yeah, the music in these games is awesome. It's almost like the music is mocking you. And there's lots of weird sambas and mambos and very like super tropical themes, but like way exaggerated. But like you can hear like the little cha-cha-chas in the background, which is always great. There was a lot of that in Mario Land too. This game doesn't feel too far removed from that. So yeah, I actually finished this game a few weeks ago. I haven't gotten all the treasures yet. That's something I want to go back and do. I don't think this game is very good at telling you which stages actually have treasures in them, though. I think you just have to figure that out on your own. I think the only thing the overworld map shows you is which stages have more than one exit. So I'm seeing in the chat room, were there differences between Game Boy Color and Game Boy Wario Land 2? Let me know. See, if I had the bullhorns here, I could stomp. I think you do need the bull power-up to stomp. In other games, Wario can just butt stomp on his own without any hat or power-up or anything like that. So like I was saying, this game is only $4 on the 3DS eShop, and it's like super great Nintendo platforming, puzzle platforming, because there's secret things hidden in these stages. It's not the most challenging, like platforming puzzles you'll ever find in your life, but they're very like, I don't know, I find them satisfying because they're not too crazy. They offer just the right amount of challenge while still being sort of actiony. I do want Wario Land 3 to be in the eShop because, God, that game is great. More people need to know! It's also one of the biggest platformers, just one of the most sprawling platformers I've ever played in my life. That's why I like it. It's too big. And it feels like there's a new idea at every corner. That's why it feels like Yoshi's Island to me. So maybe I'll try to get to the first boss here, and then I'll move on to Wario Land 2. Maybe I just want to see how long I have to go, because I only want to play for an hour, and I do want to get through 4 games. At least show you the differences between them. This is educational. Yeah, train level music is great. This game has great soundtrack. We are getting a little. We did start a little late. Let's move on to Wario Land 2. I do want to play them all, like I said. And Wario Land 2 is something I just played through most of. It does this cool thing where you finish the game and then you're like, oh, here's the path you took, and you have all these levels left to try, which is great. It feels like the Castlevania Inverted Castle Symphony of the Night thing, where the game just like ambushes you with an entire new chunk at the end. Whatever Forever, I actually finished Wario Land 4 for the first time just a few days ago, and I'm gonna play a little bit of it here. So, what I want to do is clear the data. Don't worry guys, it's a very old save. So, let's see, 1 second. I do like Wario Land 4. It's weird because when I first got it, I actually didn't like it because I had loved Wario Land 3, and Wario Land 4 felt like a huge step back. Now, like 10 years later or whatever, my expectations are adjusted, and it's a really good game. It feels like a very more focused version of Wario Land 2. Wario Land 2 is really sprawling, not as big as 3, but there are a lot of levels and a lot of things to find. Wario Land 4 just kind of dials it back, but it really, polishes what is left. And then with Wario Land 4, you also have basically the beginning of WarioWare, which is how the game looks, and the mini games and stuff like that. This game does begin with an unskippable cutscene, unfortunately. But one cool thing this game does is the levels feel connected narratively. Thank God there's no dialogue, but the different objectives you have all match like a narrative progression. Like this one is just getting out of your castle and fixing things in your castle because these pirates have ransacked it. One is getting on a boat and then dropping the anchor in the boat so the boat, goes ashore. They just found different ways to make getting to the end of a level, more meaningful than just, jumping on a flagpole or whatever. It actually does something in the larger scheme of things. And again, this one is available too in the Nintendo eShop. I think it's $4, and definitely worth your money. All these games are. I know Wario Land 4 is not available. It's only one of those weirdo ambassador games. I have it, and it looks really good. It's a damn good-looking game. The one thing about these Game Boy Color games, and I'm not sure if it's as evident for you guys, although it probably is, their color palettes are just so strange and garish, but I guess they kind of had to be out of necessity because the screens were so poor. I mean, they were an improvement, but I think you had to make your games into like a Technicolor vomit in order to get the most out of that tiny screen. I don't know if you agree with me, but they're all definitely very distinct looking. It's a very distinct looking era of gaming, the Game Boy Color era. I do think it's mostly associated with horrible Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen games, unfortunately. I feel like Trashware totally peaked on the Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance, maybe DS, definitely DS. But now all of those developers are basically just making predatory iPhone games that little kids spend all their parents' money on, so I guess things have gotten better, question mark? I'm just glad I don't have to see those Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen games. So yeah, there's a big focus on collecting coins in this game, as with every Wario Land game, and I shouldn't spend too much time messing around here, but this first level just shows you, like, there's going to be a lot of secrets in this game, because you can break down almost every wall. And this actually won't do anything, but I can give you a preview of one of Wario's power-ups, and that is Flat Wario. I forget what his official name is, but there's nothing we can do with him here. The game is just kind of showing you what can happen to Wario. And with Flat Wario, obviously you can get into places you could not normally get into, with Wario being the size he is. You can kind of float around like a piece of paper. It's really cool. It actually reminds me of Paper Mario. That Wario is really cool too. I just got a comment in the chat about that Wario. I do like Zombie Wario. Paper Wario would be a cool game. Yeah, I think this game caught onto the zombie craze before anyone else because Wario could turn into a zombie way back in 1998. And people weren't exactly crazy about zombies in 1998. So one thing in this game that would change a little bit in Wario Land 3 is, as you could see, an enemy hit me, but nothing happened. Well, I lost some coins. But, that's all that happened to me. And I'm just gonna play the minigame real quick. So, you basically have to, well, you don't have to, but you play this game in every level, or it exists in every level, in order for you to get that level's one treasure. Instead of finding the treasure, you have to play this game. You have to find the location of this game, rather. And I totally did not see where that was. Oh, good. Well, it's really easy on 3DS because you can hit the system pause button as the things flip around and, you know, cheat that way. I have no problem with cheating that way. I cannot possibly take in that much information in that little amount of time. So as I was saying, yeah, enemies don't hurt you in this game. They make you drop coins, and you need those coins to do things like earn bonuses, but other than that, there are no lives, you can't really die. You can't die at all, rather. And Wario Land 3 would take it even further in that enemies, they didn't even hurt you at all. I mean, they don't hurt you at all in this game, but you don't even lose anything when an enemy hurts you in Wario Land 3. You just kind of get bumped around. I love Wario Land 3. I don't know if you could tell that by me talking about it for the past, I don't know, 5 minutes while I'm playing another game. I would like 2014 to be the year of Wario. I think it's his time. I actually just reviewed his latest game, Game & Wario for joystick. It's obviously not related to the Wario Land series, but it wasn't very good. I didn't like it, and it makes me kind of sad because Wario games used to be the place to go for just crazy ideas that Nintendo wouldn't dare put in anything else. It was sort of like the testing ground for strange concepts that wouldn't, you know, receive as much scrutiny because they were on portable systems. One actually cool thing I forgot to notice, forgot to point out is that the ringing of the alarm clock is actually like kind of seamlessly woven into the music, which is cool. They don't do a lot of that in this game, but I like that as an effect. Just thinking about sound design in a Game Boy Color game. And I'm probably the only, I don't know if I'm the only person who thought this, but I really think New Super Mario Brothers 2, is that the DS one or 3DS one? That should have been a Wario game, because the entire point of that whole game is to collect coins. So why wasn't Wario involved? Wario needs a good game, guys. I felt like it could have been a Wario game. Maybe I'm wrong. I know it didn't have the weirdness to it, but that coin collecting thing just totally made me feel like playing Wario Land 1 and 2 again. So this is the other minigame, and this is how you unlock pieces of a map. And as you can see by the next part, there's going to be a lot of pieces of this map. Yeah, New Mario Brothers 2 is definitely feels a lot like a Wario game, just in the coin focus aspect of it. It felt weird that he had no presence in that game, but I guess Nintendo wants to push, you know, Mario and Luigi more. They're more marketable than their weird purple and yellow fat guy. So we'll play one more level of Wario Land 2, just to show it off a little more. As you can see, the story is continuing from the first level. I'm still in Wario's castle, and it's giving me a different objective. Essentially, it's still asking me to get to point B from point A, but there's something a little more meaningful attached to that, which I like. It's like you're actually fulfilling some objective, even if it's, you know, you're not actually doing it, I guess. So here's one of Wario's forms. He can turn into My Ass is on Fire Wario, and that is what that is useful for. So yeah, that's just one of the first ways to show off, and he explodes when he hits the water. Just showing off the forms, that's one of the first chances they get to show you, like, here's what can happen if an enemy of this kind touches you. Sometimes you'll need to avoid those enemies because you don't want to be on fire. Other times you'll need to plan it out so you need to be on fire at the exact moment that you cross those blocks that I just burst. It's really cool. Lots of cool puzzles in this game. So here we go again. Whatever forever. How do I get your sense of perspective for video games? I'm not sure what you mean. Maybe you could explain? I did see it that time. Sorry about the delay. I had to reload my Twitch window. It's getting all funky. Can't explain why. So, because Wario Land can't kill you, the real punishment in Wario Land is just being sent back a small amount. I mean, that's what happens when you die in any other platformer, but in this game, the amount you're sent back is very, very marginal as to what you'd be sent back through a regular platforming game. Like, instead of being sent back, like, through a checkpoint where I'll have to play through the same part for 30 seconds, getting hit by one of these fish just means I'll have to make one jump again, or maybe two jumps. And I think they're really smartly approaching the platformer. Like, what's wrong with a platformer? What's wrong with 2D games? What's wrong with the checkpoint system? Like, this game, I feel, sort of was very forward-thinking in that a lot of video games now, the checkpoints are just, like, crazy and all over the place. This game doesn't need them because you can't die, so instead it just has, like, natural checkpoints. Like I said, I could be thinking a little too much about this, but these games are super revolutionary and they don't get nearly enough credit, and as you said, that's Sonic the Hedgehog Wario, by the way. I found that actually playing these Wario Land games, they have better Sonic levels than some Sonic games, and by that I mean there's a lot of levels that place you into the ball form like this. And it just controls really well. So whatever Forever wants to know, where do I get my sense of perspective? It just comes from being immersed in video games for over 25 years, and just thinking way too much about them. I don't recommend it, because it's hard to have time for other stuff. And, I mean, I do have other hobbies, but I do think a lot about video games. I'm afraid of a few things. Mostly involved being murdered by gunpoint. At gunpoint. Maybe stabbed a few times. So here's our next level objective. We're turning off the water. Cool. 1 second, guys. Sorry for the delay. And we're back. I just want to check to see how many people were in the room. This is sort of a low-key live stream, but we got about 50 people, which is cool. I don't mind entertaining for an hour. And I want to do more of these. I want to do at least one a week. Maybe a little bit longer, if I can. I'll let you guys in the chat room decide. Do you want to see Wario Land 3 yet, or do you want to see one more level of Wario Land 2? And there's not a lot of people chatting, so I'll just take maybe the first 3 or 4 answers and judge from that. Okay, let's move on to 3. Yeah, I really just meant to show off the differences between these games, because in some cases they are slight, in some cases they are drastic, but they're all sort of building towards something, and that's kind of like a statement of what a platformer how a platformer needs to change. So we're back with Wario Land 3. There we go. And I'm going to start a new game because I've got a crusty old save on here I need to get rid of. This is a really good-looking Game Boy Color game. It's one of the last ones actually developed by Nintendo, because obviously the Game Boy Advance will be coming out just a year. So, strangely enough, I don't know, maybe I like this game because I have a personal connection to it. I remember the first time I went to visit Berkeley, which is where I live now. It took me a good 10 years to eventually move there, but I was playing this game on my Game Boy Color constantly, like in the airport, on like, you know, buses, trains, everything. So that could be why I like it so much, but it has some real non-nostalgia related reasons too. So Wario crashes plane. I'm gonna choose English, because why not? I think this game is far less garish and hideous as far as color design goes. They were a little smarter about it. I think with the early Game Boy Color days, they were like, we need to use every weird color because, you know, we have the technology now. So Wario finds a magic snow globe. It's like the beginning of Citizen Kane. So, you know, Wario Land 3 could be the Citizen Kane of video games. My Game Boy Color was that weird turquoise color, I believe. I don't think I had a... No, it was that weird turquoise color. Maybe it was purple. I want to say turquoise. Yeah, the screen was dark, which is why you see some certain choices made, at least in regards to colors in these games, like purple, pink, bright orange, and Wario is trapped in a music box now. This game I consider to be, like I said earlier, if you missed my insane comments earlier, I consider it to be up there with like Super Metroid, Yoshi's Island. It's not as organic as Super Metroid, but it has a lot of great Metroid qualities to it that I love. And it's huge and fun to explore, and it's weird to have a 2D platformer have that sense of depth and like epicness. It almost feels like a 3D platforming game where there's just so much stuff to find, but it's not overbearing like a 3D platformer could be. So here's Wario Land 3. So I love this game so much. One issue some people have with it, which I think is valid, is that Wario starts just like Samus, in that he has nothing. He can't high jump like he could in the other games by holding up and A. He can't butt stomp. He can't throw things that are heavy. He's got a lot of deficiencies, and the game is Super Metroid-y in that it makes you, the abilities you're used to Wario having are not going to be there at the beginning, which I can see some criticism being like, they should have at least given you the butt stomp or whatever. They're just kind of dragging things out, but I enjoy unlocking those because there's a sense of satisfaction in, coming back to a place and totally owning whatever used to be there. See, actually, at this point, I don't think I can even pick up an enemy, so yeah. There are a lot of things that they take away from you, so it is very, very Metroid-y in a good way, though. Yeah, let me know if you guys have played Wario Land 3. I love it. Like I said, just playing it, I haven't actually played through it in maybe 4 or 5 years, perhaps longer. Like, I really want to, just start a new game. Like, see, Wario can't even swim, so yeah, he starts off with a lot of deficiencies that he just naturally doesn't have in Wario Land 1 and 2. But it's okay, we eventually get, like, permanent equipment, like Samus, in order to overcome that. And as you can see, there's fire blocks on the ground, which means there could be a fire guy nearby that we need to take advantage of. And as you can also see, Wario getting, stabbed by an enemy is nothing because actually he has no coins to lose because you don't actually collect coins in this game, I believe. There are 8 coins at every stage, and those are the only coins you see. So it's actually super platformy. Sorry, super puzzly. And also there are 4 keys in each stage and 4 chests to go along with those 4 keys, and you can't always get all the keys in one run. In fact, you normally can't. You need to come back later when you can actually take on things that are in your way. So, I guess there are coins. I'm confused. Okay. Maybe they just come from enemies. They just don't seem to be littered around the maps. So, this time around we don't have an enemy that will catch us on fire. We have one of these. And it's just a matter of staying alight for long enough until you get to this area. Oop. I might have screwed that up. Nope, I'm good. I did. So the challenge there was to jump over this and land here where you would fall through these blocks. So let's go back. So the majority of Wario Land 3 are little challenges like that. Like, here's an ability, you need to get here using it, now go do it. And then that will get you a key, it'll have you make progress. I really love how the game's progression flows. It's all these little challenges that eventually add up to something bigger. Which I think is what kind of the spirit of WarioWare is. Oops. Stay on fire, stay on fire. Okay, good. Yeah, I guess there are coins in the game, just not as prevalent. There are 8 of those in every stage. You need to get all of them for some damn reason. I think you open up an extra golf course because this has a golf minigame in it, too. Yep. So really, the way the game punishes you is just by shoving you back a little bit. Just like with Wario Land 2, no lives, so they have to figure out some way, and that's just sort of delaying your progress, which is way better, way, way, way better than having to start over again. And that is totally my fault. Wario Land 3 also has a huge focus on Wario's powers, even more so than 2. Right off the bat, you're getting transformed in like 3 different ways with this game. In this section, actually, I'm avoiding these silkworms because they can spin me up into a ball, and I want to get to this treasure chest. So, I did it, and I'm good. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to say, but the levels actually feel like Zelda dungeons, but in 2D. There's a lot of I don't know. They just have the same sense of flow to them, the same sense of like you're not always going in one direction, but you can usually figure out how to go the way you're going. Always got an X. Another cool thing: every treasure you get in the game does something in the game. So in that case. And in a lot of cases, it's just opening the next level, but it actually has a physical effect in the world. Like, hey, you cut down that tree, now you can go to this next part. It's not just, you know, an arbitrary key, an arbitrary door. It actually is doing something in the world. And by the time you finish the game, the world has been changed based on all the actions you've been doing, which I love. Sort of like Okami. Another cool thing, and I'll jump back into the first level again. Every level has a day and a night version. In many cases, there's not a lot of differences. The enemies do tend to be falling asleep in the later versions, though. In some levels there are zombies at night, and you want to take advantage of those in order to fall through platforms, because that's just what zombies do to you. When they bite you, you turn into a zombie, you could fall through platforms. Excuse me, I don't think there's anything in particular I can do here at night. I just wanted to show off the fact that there is day and night cycles in this game, and yep, nothing new in this level for me to do. So yeah, Wario Land games are, this Wario Land game is like that. It's like you can enter a level and then figure out like, oh, I can't actually do anything here, and then you can just like jump right out. So it is sort of like a Metroid game, but there is a world map. It'd be like if in Metroid you could just jump out to a world map and then jump back into a level, which could be kind of interesting if they took that approach, but I don't know what's happening with that series. So let's go on to the next stage. Maybe we can see a few more powers. So already, I think we've seen 4 powers so far. Wario Land 2 is a lot more stingy about giving you powers and situations to use them. I think they just decided, like, hey, let's go whole hog, let's just make the entire game about using powers. And these guys make you fat, because they throw donuts at you. And I love avoiding them. Also, this music is great. So we have another power from Mario here. Oops, I think I just messed that up. So these guys, you need the butt stomp to make them go down, and this guy is not very happy. He is crying a little bit. Yeah, Wario is very animated. Especially in the 4th game, which we'll switch to as soon as we finish this level. There is a point where I have to make myself fat, but it's not yet. In case you're wondering why I keep skipping that. Yeah. It kind of sucks not being able to throw things or pick them up, but I think they give you your basic skills pretty early. So we see the treasure chest for the first treasure, but we don't have the key yet, so we have to leave. Yeah, the spirit guys did eventually grow weird protrusions from their face. I don't know what to think about that. So this is Fat Wario. And the benefit of being Fat Wario is you can easily knock anything over in your way. I believe you can also fall through certain blocks, but just kind of figuring out what to do next here. It's been a while since I played this level. Yeah, the music does change. It's great, and the music actually changes in Wario Land 4 in a more sophisticated way. Like it kind of warps and like I don't know how to explain it. It kind of like shifts and warps based on what kind of power-up that you have Wario currently under. It's more like organic, it's more natural than, you know, just changing to a new song. Didn't want to do that, but who cares? Yeah, I do have to wait, because otherwise I'd fall through here. Luckily, Wario only has to walk like 10 steps before it wears off, so... So, actually, I'm going to leave this stage and then come back at night, and I can show you guys one difference in the stage. I think this difference actually matters. And I believe later in the game you get an item that lets you just change from night to day instantly. So yeah, there are going to be zombies in this stage now. The music has changed to become way spookier, just to let you know. Wario Master of Disguise, I never played it, but it sounds awful, based on what I've heard. And what I watched on YouTube, just in doing research recently, it also looked pretty bad. So, these are the zombies, I'm going to avoid them for now. So I really want a zombie to bite me, but I forget how far I can jump in zombie form, so I'll figure that out. Oh good, okay. So right now I'm Zombie Wario, and I needed to become Zombie Wario to get to this key, which I couldn't get to during the day, so I'm at night and the zombies come out. And now I have the key. That's just one of the ways this game plays with day and night cycles and different abilities and just knowing when certain enemies will be around. Like in this case, I couldn't get this coin either because I needed to be a zombie to get down there. And now I can just go in and I believe this is the one with the treasure chest it is. Hurrah. Okay, let's move on to Wario Land 4 to close out the live stream. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Let me know on Twitter afterwards if you liked it. And make sure you post on Facebook on our Twitter account. Let us know, like, hey, which ones you want to see, which games you want to see live stream. I know Ray's going to be doing some live streams soon. Ooh. 1 second, just make sure this is big enough. And don't forget to check out our new episode coming out July 1st. And I'm actually recording one tomorrow. I'm recording 2 tomorrow, so look forward to that when those launch shortly afterwards. So it looks like I already started a game here. Let's vamos. So Wario Land 4 2001. It is a lot like Wario Land 2, which, like I said, disappointed me at the time, but it's a damn solid platformer that I like a lot. And I'm trying to figure out if I can just... Oh, it's give up, return, quit. No, it's give up. That's it. It's very colorful, as you can see. And for being a first-year GBA game, it's one of the best-looking GBA games of all time. They really put a lot of time and money into this. Even though it is much shorter than the other Wario Land games, it's only 18 stages. And it's much more straightforward. It's all about finding 4 different chunks of a ruby or jewel in every stage and then running your way back through. Just trying to find a good place to start here. I just finished this recently too. So let's go to Crescent Moon Village. And the sound effects and the weird music and the strange graphics should all seem familiar if you play Wario Land, any of them, because this is basically where that game got its aesthetic. One thing I will say about this game that I like more than the others is that collecting money is very, very satisfying. It just, the noises it makes and the numbers popping out of them, I don't know, just it does something to me, which makes it seem a little more worthwhile than collecting money in the other games. So, like I said, it's a lot like Wario Land 2. Like Wario Land 2, and 3, you change forms basically, but it has much more of a platforming focus than Wario Land 3 did. And it's back between it's back to being more of a mix of platforming and transforming action than it was in 3. 3 was just really a super puzzle-heavy game. It feels kind of like your modern indie weirdo platformer. So yeah, one thing that's weird about this game is they brought back lives in a certain way. Don't be afraid of this guy. Every stage has a weird gimmick, and this is the gimmick of this stage. When I beat the stage and have to run back through, this guy will be alive and able to hurt me. Right now, he's just in the background being a dork. And as you can see, this game starts off Wario with all of his skills. There are no power-ups to pick up like in Wario Land 2. He's just very powerful to begin with, and the transformations make him even more so. But he can die. You can lose hearts, you can lose a life, and have to restart the whole stage again. It feels weird. It feels like it's sort of like it was sort of a mandate, maybe? Just because people maybe couldn't understand Mario Land 3, or understand why Nintendo was breaking the rules like they did, but regardless, this game still holds up. It's just a very different experience than Wario Land 3, and it's very short, very, very short. But it's super focused. I believe Wario Land 3 and Metroid Fusion share the same engine. They're both super good-looking games, and actually they look a lot alike. I guess it's just the way things move and the way scrolling works. Yeah, Wario games are super like Metroid games. Now that I've played them all back to back, basically in the past month, there are so many similarities, and not just because they're made by basically the same studio and a lot of the same people. That helps. That definitely helps. But there are a lot of Metroid-y ideas that I definitely miss in games. Yeah, that was totally a morph ball. You're right. And in this game, actually, when you reach the goal at the end, you have to run back to the beginning, or else the entire level will explode. It's sort of like in every goddamn thing in Metroid when that happens. So, obviously, people behind this game had some Metroid memories, had some Metroid ideas they wanted to put in here, and that's great.